And Doom Nation, we are back once again. As always, it's Skaggs and the Captain, and we're in the shack in the back this time. And welcome back, guys. What are we talking about this week?
A lot.
Yes.
We have some. First, let's talk about we have some news
Ooh, the
for
big,
ourselves.
big news. Well, not really. I mean, it's exciting news.
Yeah, it's interesting. So,
Yeah.
as you know, some of you guys might remember, we were on this radio station in Rhode Island a month or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's called 990 WBOB. Some good friends of ours, and they reached out to us over the past week, and they want us to start working with them a little bit more often. So we're going to be doing some 60-second clips, political news updates during their podcasts
On
on
Mondays and
Mondays and
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays. And what else, Cap?
And as of right now, we don't know where it's going to go, but as of right now, we are going to be doing one episode a month on 990 WBOB.
Yeah.
So, check them out, guys. They're great. They're a great group of guys. If you like what we have to say, if you guys are into political podcasts, and they also are pretty big into sports too, right?
Yeah, college football, a whole bunch of stuff. They have
Yeah.
some guys out in Kansas too that are doing a
Yes,
podcast.
there's a sister station.
Yeah,
So,
that sounds crazy.
yep. So we're really excited to work with 990 WBOB. This is exciting. It's awesome. We hope you guys check them out. And also, Doom Nation, we didn't come this far to only go this far. So
Yeah.
please support them when we're on there. Support us. As always, like, share, and subscribe. And
going to be the same show. To be determined when we're going to be on there for the first
Yes.
one. It's going to be the same show. Only thing maybe slightly different is there's commercials that we'll have to.
we're going to try and curse
navigate.
less.
Yes, that will be different. Interesting times. A lot of stuff to do going forward.
I know.
A lot of work.
Exciting. For
Yes.
2021, we're off to a good
Yes.
start. Go ahead, man.
Dive in to some of the topics that we have today.
Let's do the quick gab one
Yes.
because this is just ridiculous in itself.
I didn't understand this, but one thing I saw this past week is the governor of Texas, Jim Abbott. He, for some reason, I'll bring up the article here. He, for some reason, said that Gab is a social media network, an alternative.
You can follow us on Gab
follow
at
us on
Two Do
there.
Men.
Jim Abbott, the governor of Texas, for some reason said that Gab is anti-Semitic, and he specifically said anti-Semitic platforms like Gab have no place in Texas and currently do not represent Texas values. He posted to Twitter. He did this alongside state representatives Phil King and Craig Goldman. They were in front of an Israeli flag. This article is from Vice.
What a weird
that I'm
thing
reading.
to point out.
Yeah.
And what a weird thing to have behind you.
I guess maybe it has something to do with the Jewish community there. It's unclear why Abbott posted the video on Wednesday directly attacking Gab. In the short clip, he mentions that he supports legislation sponsored by King and Goldman, but they don't say what the legislation is. Like, the whole thing makes
So
no
it's just,
sense.
it's like,
It's a Republican making.
be-
It seems like it's a Republican,
Yeah.
like pandering to the
be-
Jewish Israeli
yeah.
community for some reason.
to a certain extent, like the little conspiracy guy in me is like, he's just a rhino, a Republican name. Like, he's going to open up his state. Like, he gave Texas what they want, drop the mask mandates, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think Houston, which is like a very blue city in Texas.
I think Austin is the super blue city, but
The one on the coast. I think it's, yeah, it might be Austin.
Houston's closer to the coast.
No, then it is Houston.
Yeah.
They're being sued because they won't drop the mask mandate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the only like blue stronghold in all of Texas, like not all of Texas, but in Texas. But the way I'm looking at it is like, he got the okay to open up Texas, but then he has to go ahead and like start like doing some small, you know what I mean? Like, now he's
Maybe.
paying like favors back. Like, Gab is obviously the anti fucking social media platform compared to what they could do to you on Twitter and Facebook by censoring you.
Yeah. The reason why I even wanted to bring this up is because we have talked at length before about how Democrats are trying to censor social media and censor this and censor that. But here you go. You have, and I like Jim Abbott for the most part so far.
Yeah.
But now you have an example of a Republican. We both use Gab, for the podcast, and we've both been on there. I have not once ever seen anything anti-Semitic on Gab. Gab does lean conservative, Republican. It's founded by like a very devout Christian
But can
guy.
you?
There's a very like
Like,
religious community on there, but I have not once in all the
yeah,
posts in there ever seen anything anti-Semitic. Maybe I haven't seen every
yeah. You're
post
also
there.
not searching for it,
No,
too.
but I
Yeah,
haven't seen anything.
yeah.
So to come out for the governor to come out and say it's
I
anti-Semitic,
kind of feel like the governor doesn't know what Gab really
even
is.
this, it's just odd now because now that's a Republican trying to censor another social
Yeah,
media
and
thing, and it's not going to get spun that way by most conservatives and whatnot. It's all
there's
bullshit. It's
establishment
all
on both
bullshit.
sides.
Yeah, it's
There is.
the whole thing was very suspicious and weird. I've
And the
never
fact
seen
that
any
it goes nowhere,
anti-Semitism.
this legislation's unknown.
Right. There was no details to the legislation there to even talk about. He was holding up like a bill in his hand that you couldn't even
Yeah.
see. Very odd. Very, very odd. Very odd times we live
We
in
don't
where
even question what's going on anymore.
no, we don't. So that's that.
So,
Let's go into the next thing, which is the Instagram post I wrote the other day.
oh, okay, yeah, yeah. You've been excited for this. I saw it on. I
Yeah.
didn't read it though because I know you wanted to go over it.
This, as most people know, there's this huge issue going on with the royal family in England, and I don't want to
God,
pay too much attention to it
this
because
is
yeah,
the amount of attention. I was listening to something today, and somebody was talking about the royal family, and somebody made a face, and then everybody else was like, "Oh, why are you making a face?" And like he tried to defend himself. He's like, "Oh, well, I'm tired of listening to it." No, it's why the fuck does anyone care?
right.
Why we feel bad for these people beyond me.
Yeah, on the base
They do
level,
nothing for
on the
us.
base level, I don't really care about what problems the royal family or Meghan Markle face because they're millionaires.
Yeah.
They're billionaires,
They're
right?
the
And
royal
I have
family.
to I have to shed a tear
Yeah.
over their issues. But
Do you also understand something? This is going to be an unpopular opinion, and this is a conversation that people are not ready to have. But there is shock, and I know what you're getting into just by the picture here, and we'll get into it because it'll be great. But there's shock that the royal family might be racist.
yeah,
You don't, if you really enjoy learning about the royal family, if they're such fascinating people to you, I could understand wanting to understand and learn about royalty and what this family's done for the history and all that stuff. I could get that. But if you're really this infatuated with them, a royal family usually stays royal because they keep it within similar bloodlines. They don't, you know what I mean? Like, just look at Game of Thrones. Nobody's calling Game of Thrones racist, but they didn't, you know,
but it was it's not that Game of Thrones is racist. Like the like societal structure they lived
yeah,
in was racist.
yeah. But to keep
There were
a,
slaves in Game of
but
Thrones,
in real life, we have this royal family.
right?
How do you think they stayed royal for all these years? They didn't
Yeah,
marry outside their own kind.
right. I mean, it's yeah.
I'm not saying I agree with this. I could care less, and
I
I
see what you mean.
despise
I
the
see
royal
what you mean.
family. But like the shock that the royal
Oh
family
yeah, I
is
believe it.
racist.
I believe it.
Yes,
100%.
they're racist.
Right.
They didn't make it this far
Right.
without secluding and oppressing people.
Yeah, I 100% believe Meghan Markle's accusations. I don't really. I'm not going to
Care.
shed a tear
Yeah.
because she still is a bajillion times better off than I am or you am. Like I'm sure it sucked the situation she was
Yeah.
in and whatnot, but I'd rather be in that
You
situation.
became a princess
right,
overnight.
yeah.
What did you think was going to happen to your life?
They
It
got
was-
paid $7 million for the whole thing. I don't want to get that much into it because it's all nonsense. But let me read my post the other day because what's really interesting is how it
Yes.
shows you the difference in media coverage.
what the media thinks matters in life.
Yes. So I posted this the other day, and I spent a lot of time writing this post on this, and it's a picture of the Matrix, and it's a picture of Morpheus handing the blue pill and the red pill, similar to our last episode. And the red pill is Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein. The blue pill is Harry and Meghan. So I wrote that the red pill, the royal family, specifically Prince Andrew, had ties to Epstein, who's a known sexual trafficker, pedophile, and it received basically no widespread coverage from mainstream media outlets. The blue pill is the accusations of racism by the royal family against Meghan Markle, and it's obviously, like we just said, received wall-to-wall coverage. And now, like in reality, both things, racism and pedophilia, sex trafficking, are terrible. Equal. One's not worse than the other. and I said that, it's also not going out on a limb to believe both are true. This is
Yeah.
the
Oh,
royal
yeah.
family we're
Yes.
talking about here, right? But what does the discrepancy in coverage or lack thereof coverage tell us, right? One of the two things. So either A, the media is more interested in pushing racially divided stories and narratives, specifically fueling the tremendous, tremendous fucking division we have in
Yeah.
society right now based on like race and all that stuff. And, that they're looking, the media, to profit off of that division. Or B, investigating and covering things related to sex trafficking, pedophilia is off limits to the media because that would implicate powerful people all around the world. So I
Yeah.
wanted, we didn't talk about it yet because I
No.
wanted to save it for the episode. What do you think? Part B sounds very QAnon
Yes.
type
Well.
thing, but here you have I'm showing you an
Yeah.
example of how some of these loons make good points sometimes, right?
It's hard. It's hard. Like, I haven't been, following it as closely as I used to, and I still have my own beliefs and stuff just because I'm open minded like that. But you're right. You have this either or. This is like what I've been saying with like all these sexual accusations against Governor Cuomo. We're up to like 6 women now, but he's still in office. If this happened to Ted Cruz and 6 women
Yeah.
came out, they'd drag him out of his office and shoot him. 5 minutes into it, like it would never last this long. So here you go, like you got these two different coverage. Let's look at the facts. Forget like Q and anons and like conspiracies and stuff. Like we can all agree Jeffrey Epstein had a private island that was known for horrifying things to go down on. Pedophile Island. There's rumor that very high profile people
There's
go
not
there.
rumors. There's a literal picture
Yeah.
of Prince
There's
Andrew with
Prince
Epstein.
Andrew.
Yeah.
There's Clinton and fucking
Bill
Epstein
Clinton, right?
and stuff like that. The picture's there. The picture is real. He knew him. Anytime you bring up Jeffrey Epstein, people right away go, "Oh, Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein." Okay, Trump's out of office. Prince Andrew is in a picture with Jeffrey Epstein now. And here, I didn't even listen to that Oprah fucking interview. The meme is the best. A billionaire interviewing a prince and
Millionaires
a princess.
about
Yeah,
how oppressed they are.
yeah, was complete insanity. And I how
It's
can I put this?
it's okay. Like I don't feel bad for them because yes,
Not at all.
I obviously the racism part is not good, but we're talking about billionaires
Yes.
oppressing millionaires. Like, listen, I care about normal people. I've worked in low income neighborhoods. I've seen
Yeah.
I've seen racism. I've seen the conditions people have to live in, like really, poor neighborhoods. I don't think they really like the people in that
No.
neighborhoods. I don't think they give a fuck about the oppression, the poor oppression that Meghan Markle had to endure
Yeah.
in her, while people are serving her tea and crumpets
Yeah.
in Windsor Palace or wherever the fuck they are. On top of the fact that who gives a fuck, right?
Yeah.
We're Americans. We
And
gave them a
and
look
who
for,
they
and
had.
you know what I mean?
They
Like,
brought the big guns out too, like Oprah. Oprah's first interview and how fucking long. Like this was like a juicy media story. I wanted to almost like tweet out like at the beginning of the week, like if this Oprah interview is this big, I wonder what they're trying to really direct our attention from. You know what I mean? Like, because
This-
this blue, come on, this is a fluff bullshit story. It was a big buildup. You have Oprah, you have the royals, you have racism, and now today the Queen is going to privately call them and have a private conversation with them. To, boy, I can only. I am going to kill you. Like I can't say that she definitely is, but like think of Game of Thrones. Like, what would Cersei say if she was able to call up?
oh,
You know, like
she'd be drinking wine and
yeah.
plotting.
She'd be like, I'm going to hunt you down in your sleep. Like, there's going to be no rest for you for the rest of your life. Like,
We shouldn't be shocked that these are terrible people.
Yeah.
the royals.
how do you stay in power for this long
Yeah.
in this day and age with not fucking someone over?
Yeah, I agree. One of the people in this whole situation I'm most is very odd and most almost disappointed in is Oprah.
No,
This whole
not at
no
all.
no no I am hear me out because Oprah they're kind of promoting this like victimhood, as
Hmm.
many people have said, like
They brought out the
ideology,
big guns.
right? Billionaires and millionaires are promoting this victimhood ideology. Oprah is like a proof of what's great about America, right? Oprah is the first black woman billionaire ever, right?
Yeah,
What country made that possible?
America.
America,
Yeah,
right? So I'm not saying Oprah didn't have a hard time or she didn't face discrimination over the years, but Oprah, did that in America. You know what I mean? Oprah worked her ass off and got to where she was by hard work, by perseverance and whatnot. So, and now she's one of the
I
most
hate to tell you,
successful.
there's so many conspiracies about her too.
I don't even want to get into it. I'm just talking on the surface.
No,
Like
but yeah,
Oprah
I
is a
get it.
successful
Yeah.
person for her. So for her to be like, how come she didn't call out like, well, look, you guys are still very
Oh, she
successful
doesn't.
at
She
the end.
doesn't remember the early days, bro. Nah,
You know
nah.
what I'm saying?
She's so far. There's so much. I'm sorry to interrupt you like this, but there's so much money in her bank account that she doesn't remember the first 5 years when you know what I mean, like before she was noticed or anything,
I'm,
before
I'm,
she
I'm
had
sure she
anything.
does, but maybe she's made a conscious decision to lean into all this stuff
Yeah,
because
but you know
because
what?
it'll do good for her
At
financially.
yes,
I don't
at
know.
this point now she's like, okay, this is I get to interview like the prince and the princess, like, and you're gonna pay me how much? Okay, like no brainer,
Right. That's what
like
I'm saying. That's
yeah,
basically what I'm saying. But the whole victimhood thing is like, Oprah, you're not a victim.
yeah.
You are I you're
There's
like
no
a
you
inspiration
yeah
for people. You're not a victim.
yeah
You're a role model. This is what everybody could become
yeah.
in America if you work
Right.
hard and whatnot.
And
Are there any?
look at Markle. She was a regular person, and then she became a royal. Like, what do you have to complain about?
Yeah, I know, right?
But
For,
like, think of it like,
for a normal person like
but
me or
no, but
you,
look. She became princess overnight. Oprah has built this brand over years to
that's a good
become a
point.
billionaire.
Right.
Oprah did everything to get to where she is. Meghan Markle just banged the right guy.
I think what we're trying to say is you're not going to get any sympathy from us because of the class issue, right? You have more than any normal American or English person will ever have. You're
Yeah,
not going to get sympathy from normal
yeah.
people.
But hold on, let's stop giving them
Yes,
the
I agree. That's
attention.
it.
Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew.
Yeah, I didn't look that much into it, but it's there myself.
Yes. So, we even just spent, the past 10 minutes talking about how stupid the other story is. It's got everybody's attention. But here we have proof of a royal who is doing way worse shit than, well, I wouldn't say worse, worse shit, but here's somebody who could be linked to a horrific crime, not oppression or anything. Here's a royal that might be involved in some type of crime.
Sexual trafficking,
Yeah,
pedophilia. That's yeah.
a huge crime. There's no questions about it. There's
Mm-hmm.
no coverage of it. It's proof, and he's walking free.
There's no Oprah interview
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Yeah,
He
and
was in hot water for a while, and then just nothing. He's free.
and like
And you don't think,
yeah. Go ahead.
and you don't. So everybody wants to sympathize. Oh, they're so oppressed in the royal family. They're racist. This, that, blah, blah, blah. Here's a guy who could go away, probably get the death penalty, but because the royal family is so powerful, they're like, nah, just don't talk about that.
Right. All we're trying to point out to you here is the bias in media and the coverage and whatnot, and how they're pushing the stories about racism
The
and division. They're pushing that stuff,
Yeah.
and they're not covering the others. They're not covering like the news is supposed to just tell you what the fuck happened. That's what me
We've
and you
become the
do.
news.
That's what
Yeah.
me and you do, right? We just tell you what happened, and then we don't know if we're right or wrong.
No.
We might think we're right or
Yes.
wrong, but
Once again, people, we are not experts.
yeah, we just discuss what happened and we tell
Yeah.
you what happened, as much as we can and look into. So that's it.
This is
That's the main
infuriating.
point that it's
So
they're pushing one side of one issue with the family, but they're not pushing
Yep.
the other, and that kind of in a way gives some credence to the Q people. As much as you could say it. I don't know.
it sucks. One day, everybody's gonna be like, "Shit, I wish that shit was real."
That's my 2 cents on the whole royal family drama. Maybe they'll make an e-show out of it or something. All right.
Oh, they'd become super famous. So is next? Are we
Yes,
gonna
let's
do
let's go into our good old buddy, our good old
our
friend,
favorite president,
Uncle Joe or Grandpa Joe, whatever you want to call him.
Joseph Biden?
Yes. Did you watch the
Yes, I did.
the address he gave the other day? I watched it too.
So first and foremost, for one of the most popular presidents ever, and it is proof he's the most popular president ever,
Hmm.
the White House YouTube page only got like 7,400 views during his speech. 300,000 people watched a YouTube clip of Trump getting off an airplane. He didn't even talk. Okay. Anyway, he skipped the State of the Union address. Okay.
So far,
So
so
this
far.
is something that we actually brought up in our 60-second news update on 990 WBOB. Um, so he's the first president since World War One to go this long without addressing the nation.
Hmm.
Okay, we skipped the State of the Union address. This is the most popular president ever. He's the moderate president where we could do things and with no unity between party lines anymore. He's gone since World War One, the longest, and it was only a 25-minute fucking address.
Hmm.
And once again, he doesn't take any questions. The guy signed a bill for over $1 trillion yesterday, wrote his name
Right.
down, mic drop, and walked out of the room.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. That's not right.
we can the president just dropped
Mhm.
a $1.9 trillion bill and was like, "I'm out of this bitch,"
Mhm.
and we didn't get to ask a single question.
Yeah.
Forget them telling us, "Don't question this, don't question that." You can't even ask a question
Hmm.
now.
What's interesting about even that $1.9 trillion deal is, I don't know the exact specifics of who knows, right? How it's going to be paid for in the future, if at all, ever.
Yeah.
But a lot of Republicans were sharing that if you divided the $1.9 trillion by the 300 and whatever million people in America, it's coming out to like 5,000 and change per person in order to pay for this $1.9 trillion. However, only you're only getting
Yeah.
1,400,
And not everybody's getting it.
it's means tested, which means that only certain people like under a certain threshold of money they made are getting it. So it's again, like we said this, I think in that episode on Stimulate This, these things are bad investments.
Yeah.
If it was a $1.9 trillion deal and you were getting all $1.9 trillion
Yeah. Be
back,
great.
and not only were you getting the $1.9 trillion back, but like the poor were getting it and the rich
Yeah.
weren't getting it, so you were getting more of it. That would make sense because then it's almost like a wealth transfer of like we're going to take taxes from rich people in the future, very very socialist communist thing, and redistribute it back to people who need it right now. But that's not even the case.
Yeah.
It's
It's we're going to take the poor people's money now,
right and
only give them a portion,
yeah,
and
and
we're
give
going to
it.
send it elsewhere in the world.
Well, yeah. In this one, we're going to give it to the states to bail them out that
Yeah.
are in whatnot. We're going to give it to the money is going to some good things like the vaccine stuff and schools and whatnot. But at the same time, like we're going to pay for this stuff,
Yeah.
you know.
It's
Or maybe we
and
won't. I don't know.
also
Who knows? We're
yeah.
in debt forever and it never gets paid back. I don't
And
know.
also on top of this, like other countries have been paying their residents from the start.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like immediately,
Yeah.
just like three thousand
Replacement of
dollar
wages.
checks once a month, like,
Right.
and it is like a gladiator battle to get $1,400. And the best is Washington Post wrote a fluff piece of how Biden's going to end poverty. They didn't even
Childhood poverty and
yeah,
cut childhood.
they
I know.
they
I've heard that
never
so many
spoke
times.
when Trump gave out his two stimulus checks, even though I greatly disagreed with the second one. Now we're ending poverty by
Yeah.
$1,400
Yeah,
increments.
childhood poverty. They keep. He even said this in a speech yesterday. This bill is going to cut childhood poverty in half. According to the experts, he said. What
His
the
paid
fuck are you
experts.
talking about? What? So a bill of 1.9 trillion is going to magically just cut childhood poverty in half? That's such like a politician's line to
Yeah.
say something like that. According to the experts,
Oh,
yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
know something funny that I found today?
I'm skeptical. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yahoo, Fox, and CNN all fact checked Biden.
Really?
Yes.
In what? In
On his
Earth 2?
speech. Yeah, I guess so. So Yahoo and Fox actually did a pretty good job. They were so when he came right off the bat and he was like, in the last administration, they denied the existence of, the virus for days and weeks and months. And so they actually fact checked him and they were like, no, Trump made a speech acknowledging COVID existed, 1 month or so afterwards, so it's not been months or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the CNN fact check was
It was biased. Yeah. Yeah.
hysterical. Oh my God. They were like, well, he was incorrect by saying, months, but he didn't mention who he was talking about, so we can't assume it's the Trump administration. This is what the news is telling people. This is what, that's what, when anybody,
I'm gonna need an Advil after this.
yeah,
You had one before.
when anybody talks to me about politics, like I know right away, like you just listen to horrendous sources.
You listen to the one propaganda
Yeah.
machine and not the other. Yeah,
But
man.
anyway, they fact checked him. Check it out. It at least he got fact checked. I mean,
Yeah, we're gonna
But-
fact check him too.
yeah,
Right now.
yeah. That's basically what we're doing right now too.
When Biden got elected, when he got inaugurated, we did a podcast called "The First 100 Days," and we talked about some of Biden's goals for his first 100 days. To which he said back then that one of his goals was to get 100 million people vaccinated. Actually, get 100 million vaccinations in people's arms. He didn't say 100 million people. He said 100 million vaccinations. During the speech the other day, Biden said, we set the goal very high at 100 million, and we're going to surpass
did.
that. In our podcast at 100 days, we said that goal is not very high. We crunched the numbers a bit, and we figured out that at the time, the rate that they were vaccinating people at, if they just continued at that pace, they'd have hit the 100 million.
And also, we had
vaccinations.
how many hundreds of millions vaccines did we have already?
No, we didn't have that many yet.
Okay.
They weren't built yet.
Okay.
And what was I trying to say? That
He was going to make that mark very easily.
right. We said back then they're almost taking what they know they're going to hit,
Yeah.
and portraying it as, if we get this, it's monumental. And that's literally exactly what they did.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They
We
gave you a
crushed
low-
it. We
right.
crushed it. Yeah.
Yeah, they gave a low ball number, and then they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Because now they could tell people they knocked it out of the park, but that's what was going to happen.
We're keeping our promises.
Even if
yeah.
Trump remained the president, that's probably the number we would have hit anyway.
And another thing that even my father pointed out right away, he's like, we're close to 200 million vaccines being created right now.
Mm-hmm.
When I took office, we weren't even at 1% of this.
This is what we were saying.
No kidding, because
Right.
it's been a month and a half
Right.
already. It might take a month and a half to make 100 million vaccines. Like,
Right.
no kidding.
I was telling you in a text the other day, I'm like, we were texting during the speech, and he was saying how when I took office, we didn't have this many vaccines, and now we do. Well, no shit. You have to build
Yes.
them. You don't just wave a fucking
Yeah.
magic wand and vaccines appear. Right? They're on an assembly line, and they're
just-
made at the lab or the factory or wherever these companies make them.
It's just such a, this is why people say Trump was so this is a good time to compare right now. Every time Trump talked, everyone always would say he's not political. He doesn't have that politic in him. He's too brash. He's too, hard hitting. But here is the complete opposite end of the spectrum, where your robotic guy, your lizard people dude, has fucking, this tested script and gives you this completely polished, over the top political comment that means nothing.
Would you rather that, or would you rather the idiot spewing the brash shit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like,
Yeah.
I get it. Like, you don't like the way he says it, but like, that's what's happening. This was like, I set the bar low. You didn't know that, and I nailed it.
Right. You're getting lied to.
Yeah.
You're getting played. You're getting lied to. And my opinion is, I want better. I don't want either. I
agree, but like,
I want a smart
at least
person.
the brutal truth is the truth.
Yeah, but I don't-
can't say if
I don't
it's
want-
the truth or not.
I don't want the truth from an idiot. I want the truth from a smart person who's going to know how to unite everybody.
I don't think there's enough smart people left.
There
man.
is. It's just that they don't want to deal with the bullshit of being in politics, I guess,
That's why they're the smart people.
Another point I wanted to make about Biden's speech the other day is he seemed to be trying to take credit for the vaccine and
No
Operation
kidding.
Warp
Like,
Speed.
that was never going to happen.
And here's a note I wrote, right? I remember very clearly, and I wrote it down here, that he and Kamala Harris were sowing doubt regarding the vaccine during the campaign, right? And I have a direct quote from Kamala Harris right here. During the vice presidential debate, She said that she would only take a COVID-19 vaccine if medical professionals recommended it, not President Donald Trump.
Yeah. Took
Okay,
it right
they're
away.
trying to sell us on the vaccine, take the vaccine. But back during the campaign, they were playing
Yeah.
politics with the vaccine. They were
Yeah.
saying, well, if Trump says take the vaccine, I'm not going to take it. But if a doctor tells me to take it, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
That is
And
called
they back
sowing.
themselves up because, of course, the doctor's going to say take it.
That is called sowing doubt, right? They did it, but now they're trying to tell you, well, now the vaccine's safe. Why?
Yeah.
Because now you're in charge and you're not playing politics anymore. With Trump.
We actually mentioned this. I don't know what episode it was in. I don't remember. I don't know the title, but we said this back then that sooner or later they're going to take credit. They're going to make believe like that the vaccine came out during their administration. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. That it's the same vaccine that was coming out before Biden was in office and people started getting the shot before January 20th is still the same vaccine we have now. It's nothing different. It came out under Trump. That's what you're trying to say. They're trying to hide. They're trying to take credit for the vaccine coming out.
Right. And back then they were saying they won't take it if Trump tells them to take it.
Yeah.
They'll take it if a doctor tells them to take it. That is called sowing doubt.
Yeah. You know what Trump should be doing right now is keep saying for him to keep saying to take it, and then they have to disagree with him.
Yeah, they were sowing doubt. They were sowing doubt by playing politics with the vaccine, saying, it's a Trump vaccine, it's not good. And, people were so divided politically. A lot of people would probably be like, well, I don't know now because Trump's promoting this thing. Should I take it or not? Yeah. But now, the same exact vaccine, they're telling you, you have to go take it. You have to go take it. You'll get to go on 4th of July with a few people if everybody takes it.
I'm so glad you brought that up. All right. So I need everybody to understand something. The argument is either you believe the vaccine works and then we go back to normal, or you don't think the vaccine works and we can't go back to normal. There's no in between. If you come up with an in between, please let me know.
I agree. If everybody's vaccinated, that's it. It's over.
Eventually, the science.
It's also real quick. I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's also not if everyone's vaccinated. If a certain percentage of the population is vaccinated and has been infected, you reach herd immunity. They have blurred the lines, as we said in previous. Yes, in previous episodes, we said I posted on the Instagram as well. The World Health Organization changed the definition of herd immunity
to 100% vaccination.
Only vaccinations, which is not true. If you're infected by something, you get some sort of immunity. So it's a combination of people being vaccinated, people being infected, and once you reach a certain percentage of a population of both, the virus has nowhere else to go because enough people have resistance to it, and the vaccine goes away or becomes not a threat anymore.
Yes.
They're saying now every single human being in America needs to be vaccinated.
This is why I went on that wild rant last night. So, oh boy. Okay, so fuck that.
Real quick to add to my point, there's never going to be a time ever where every single American is going to get the vaccine. There's always going to be there's going to be one person, and they'll say, "Oh, well, John Billy Boy down the street still hasn't gotten his vaccine. Can't open up, but can't do it. One guy."
All right, to piggyback off of that before I get into mine, you know why it's never going to be 100%? We have a crisis at the border. And the only reason we have a crisis at the border is because Biden's entire plan is to do the exact opposite of Trump. I'm sorry. Don't like Trump. That's fine. He had the border pretty fucking secure.
Even his rhetoric deterred people from trying to come.
So now there's a legitimate crisis at the border. These child, fun, happy facilities are at 100% capacity. They're not even listening to COVID rules anymore. Children are staying there 3 times longer than the law allows it to. And ICE has to, by law, release COVID-positive people into Texas and Arizona. Mm-hmm. It's going to be impossible to get 100% vaccination because there's always going to be an influx of people coming in. That's number one. But my point, what I was saying before is, the science eventually is not going to hold up to what they're saying. Because herd immunity is whatever, 50-50, let's say, to be easy. Let's go above and beyond. 75% of America's population gets fucking vaccinated. You can't, even if we do this by the unrealistic thing of July 4th, the unrealistic date of July 4th, to get 100% vaccinated, and we'll talk about that too. even at like 75%, which is way above and beyond, people are not like the science is going to lose credibility. There's no way it
Mhm.
doesn't. If 75% of the population is vaccinated and it's known,
Mhm. I see what you mean.
you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be able to
People are
tell me,
gonna.
like, okay, like, I don't need a mask. Like, I'm one out of like 25 people who aren't
Mhm.
vaccinated, and I probably have an immunity already. So the science isn't going to hold up. The
Mhm.
mask mandates, the small groups, the not 100% capacity, it's not going to hold up after a certain percent, 65%,
Mhm.
anything over 50%. In America alone, out of 300,000 people, it's not even an even number. So
Mhm.
it's an odd number. It's going to come quicker to get over that 50% mark. Why are we going to listen then? Why
Yeah.
are you still going to give us not going back to normal?
Mhm. I see what you're saying. If the infamous they,
Yeah.
if Biden says that 75% of the population has been vaccinated now, but we still can't get back to normal, yeah,
Bullshit.
people are gonna be like, whoa, what do you mean, man?
Bullshit.
Like, what are you talking about here? You mean so there's people are gonna start, like you're saying,
Yeah.
thinking, well, does that mean that this thing doesn't work? You
Yeah.
know, do I even trust this vaccine? Do people now even do the other 25% be like, well, I'm definitely not getting the
Yeah.
vaccine because it seems to not even work
Yeah.
anymore? Yeah, that in itself,
It just implodes.
that in itself can sow doubt
Yeah.
amongst the population. They're trying, and Biden's goal the other day was to try and sell people on
All
getting the
that.
vaccine, but he seems to be doing almost
That
the
was
exact opposite.
yeah.
Just like
That was a
the
that was
sales pitch, like the
yes.
constant sales pitch of trying to be a salesman of selling this thing. As you said, it's like
People
marketing. That makes me suspicious, bro.
yes.
Just I don't want to hear a sales pitch. Just
That's so Biden waited 50 plus days to address the nation. His nation. He's the most popular president in history. He hasn't taken questions for days, and people love him for this. And he's waited 50 plus days to address us. And the way he addressed us is if we are good little boys and girls, and is or others, because we don't discriminate on this show, if you listen to us and do what we say, maybe, maybe by July 4th, you can gather in small groups. First and foremost, I've been saying 2020 changed people forever. There's going to be people stuck
yeah,
inside
it
forever.
did.
And I kind of say society doesn't need them. They should probably stay inside. But also at the same time, if you've been waiting for our government to tell you when you can and cannot have a barbecue with your friends and family in your own backyard, you too should probably stay inside for the rest of eternity.
What's interesting about the July 4th thing is Biden tried to play it as, look, we could get some of our freedom back on the July 4th.
Yeah, it could be a real day of freedom.
He tried to play it as if we're getting our freedom on a day that's associated with freedom. I'm seeing it as the complete opposite.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that I
I
have to
might.
wait? I have to wait to get my freedom back because you might tell me that on the July 4th I could hang out with a few people.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a more anti-American, anti-freedom
Yeah.
thing said ever. But he's trying to spin it as we live in the
The-
upside down, bro. Do
in
what you want.
2021,
Take fucking common sense precautions. I'm not going to ever listen to any politician of tell me what to do, when it's safe to do this, every fucking disaster movie you've ever seen. Does the government ever save you or protect you from anything? No. They
Reagan-
always fail.
yeah.
They
Reagan-
always have.
Reagan said, Reagan or JFK?
Yeah, like the most
Reagan.
scariest thing you could ever hear
Say-
is I'm from the government and
and
I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was Reagan, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I can fact check that.
But
But
dude,
go ahead.
they're and okay, so what I pointed out was Biden is leveraging our freedom, our economy, our future,
It was Reagan.
yeah, and our future on us taking the vaccine.
Yes.
It was the entire address which was needed. He needs to reach. I said this from months ago. I said, you want to campaign from your basement? Fine. There's nothing I can do about it. But once you become president, you can't do this shit from your basement anymore. And then a few weeks ago, we talked about, the conspiracies of like, oh, Biden's not really the president or anything. You want to say those conspiracies aren't real? Cool. But you have to do presidential shit. You know what I mean? Like, at
Yeah,
least
you're the president,
show
you
up.
should be the
At
president,
least
man.
show up to play the sport that we signed you up for.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And here we are after 50 days of finally like hearing from him, and it's a sales pitch on vaccines, which makes
I told you the stocks for
oh
Moderna and
yeah.
whatnot. Probably I didn't check if they went up the next day, but it did. It did kind of seem that he was even pitching how
I
I
have my
got.
own conspiracy, but I'm not even gonna get into it, man.
Look,
But
man,
just
take the vaccine if that's what
yeah,
you want to do. I'm not telling you. We're not telling you to do
yes,
not to do it or to
yeah.
do it or whatever. You do what you want. That's what we're
We don't
saying.
know if it's good or
Yeah,
bad, but
we're not telling you what to do. We're just
yeah,
shooting the shit
I
here
just
about
don't
this.
like the fact that the first time the most popular president in history addressed the nation,
He gives you a big pharma
he
sales pitch.
yes,
I get
that's
it.
why Trump had that brutal fucking ears bleeding nonsense coming out of his mouth,
Mm.
but at least it wasn't a sales pitch for a corporation.
I get it. I get it. It did kind
It's
of
he
sound like
might as
that.
well came out
You,
in NASCAR jumpsuit with like the Pfizer car number 23, Joseph
yeah.
Biden.
You said it the other day. Like I feel like those companies wrote the speech for him, and
Yeah.
they're the ones really pulling the
They
strings
like yeah,
behind the
you want to know
scenes.
you want to know who runs the country? Joe Biden just spent a half hour advertising for them yesterday. Big pharmaceutical teamed up and bought the presidency. As far I mean, listen, hopefully I hope the vaccine works. Whether this is an evil scheme to take over the world or not, I hope the vaccine works. I want to get back into normalcy. Once there is no benefit of me not having a vaccine, I would probably get it. Once where like you're not allowed to go into any store or any place without showing your.
Well, don't say that because now you're giving them an excuse
Oh
to
no,
keep
I know,
holding your
but like
ransom.
eventually they will hold us ransom. We'll predict it here now, and I guarantee you someday later we'll be talking about like it. Listen, if I could get vaccinated and take off the mask and stop socially distancing, and the bars are open past 10 o'clock for me, I would go get vaccinated. You know what I mean? It's worth it then.
Yeah, but okay, but to play devil's advocate here, we don't know what the side
Well, that's
effects
the
or
two sides
the
of this
the
argument.
long term. I'm not talking about
You're not playing devil's advocate. You're
I am.
stating the only argument there is. Either we believe this vaccine works and we could go back to normal, which I'm willing to do, or this vaccine doesn't work and we can't go
Yeah, I
back to
get it.
normal. You can't push the agenda if it's not going to go back to normal.
I'm just saying I'm playing devil's advocate in terms of like, we don't know what the long term effects of the
Oh,
vaccine are,
well,
right?
yeah.
I'm talking about like long term, like 20, 30 years. Does it give you cancer? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it does, but since they've been making this vaccine, 20, 30 years have not elapsed to give you an example of what could
What if
possibly
what
happen.
if
Maybe nothing will happen. I have no idea. But I as I've said on this podcast many, many times, I don't buy the new Xbox as soon as it comes out
yeah,
because
because
there's
it's
always
nothing
something
but
wrong with it,
problems.
right? So I want to see. I
Yeah.
want to let other people first test out the Xbox. Like
Yeah.
our friend Jerry, right? Go ahead. You buy the new Xbox. You tell us what it's like. I'll let you make the financial mistake before I do, right? Same thing goes for the vaccine. Let me let all these other people get the
Yeah.
vaccine, and 5, 10 years from now, I'll see.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, when there's maybe benefit to it.
Right.
I know. I can't disagree with you. It's just, but that it just solidifies the argument. Either it works and we could get back to normal, or it doesn't and we have to keep these
Yeah, it's
mandates.
almost like they're arguing against themselves. Like, what is the point of even getting this vaccine if we can't ever
I'm
go
not.
back to normal?
I'm not.
They're also trying to set the bar that way. They're trying to set the standard
Yeah.
of that there is no normal. This is the new normal. That's
Why?
bullshit. People will
Okay.
never stand
But
for
so
that. People
now,
will never
but
stand for
now,
that.
ask yourself something. This though, because there's people who disagree with this standpoint, right? Okay. So repeat what you just said. Like there is no.
There is no normal. There is no going back to normal. This is the new normal.
Why? Why are our elected officials all of a sudden have the power to tell us you're not going back to your
Right.
normal life?
Right. They don't. They don't. They do not. As much as they might say they do, they do not.
Right. But now why is there even a question that we might not go back? There's this is America, the land of the free. It's going to go back. That's why I call the states like Florida and Texas, all these places dropping the mask mandates, like they joined the rebellion because we're working to go back to normal. And that's also, to circle back to
Oh
the
boy, Jen Pat.
yeah,
All right, Jen Paskey.
the dude from Texas that we were talking about
Trouble
earlier
from hell.
today. Like I feel like he got to open up because it's all part of a ploy. You know, we're going to keep fishing people in. You're going to have no mask mandates. There'll be a big spike in Texas. You know, conspiracy. I'm sorry. I don't care.
Maybe I just think all these politicians are full of shit. All of
They
them,
are.
Republicans,
Yeah.
Democrats, they don't have any
You know
backbone.
what?
They just
Somebody.
if it's something that they want,
Yeah.
they'll sell, they'll
Our
give you a
boy
sales
Anthony.
pitch.
Anthony, we want to have you on soon. We're going to talk to you guys soon. He posted a stupid meme and it made so much sense. What if I told you the left wing and the right wing were two wings of the
Same
same
party.
fucking bird? You know what I mean? Like,
let me
it
follow
is.
that up. Right on Twitter lately, I have been following a lot of people who identify as socialist, right? And they're pissed. They are pissed at everything going on, right? I don't agree with everything they say, like with their socialist ideology, but I respect the fact that they are pissed and they are willing
Because they got lied to.
They got lied to, and they're also starting to come to realize that there is no left and right. It's both parties just do the same shit.
Yeah.
They lie to you, everybody, and they spin it as they spin it in a nice way to make you believe to vote for them to get what they want, and then they don't do anything, right? The socialists are mad about that because they want to pass, healthcare for all, and they wanted the $2,000 checks and whatnot, and various other things. Some of them are way more radical than others, but at least they believe in their ideology and they're not lying to you about it. And they're mad because they've been lied to about what they wanted to do. And I want to spin this back into the COVID, the
fucking press secretary with the circle backs.
Sorry, yeah. The stimulus bill, the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill. They told us that we couldn't get the 2,000. First of all, they promised a $2,000 check along the campaign trail. Multiple people did. Biden did.
The little gif of like, I promised
Agatha
$2,000 checks.
Harkness, yeah. They promised that flat out, right? They didn't deliver. They blamed it on the parliamentarian, whatever the fuck that means. I never even heard of such a thing before, saying that it's not appropriate for. No, actually, sorry. They blamed a parliamentarian for not raising the minimum wage. Never heard of that before. They
could literally make shit up.
So yeah, basically. The $2,000 checks, however, they blame that they couldn't get the consensus in order to include that in the bill. When you look at the statistics of how the bill passed, right, all the Republicans voted against the COVID relief bill.
This is something good to talk about.
And they passed it because all of the Democrats voted for it, right?
Yes.
So a lot of the establishment Democrats are trying to blame the Republicans, saying, they voted against the bill. It's their fault that we didn't
We're
get
not
the
getting
2,000.
2,000.
Whoa, hold on. You passed the bill.
With
the bill, the way that the Democrats wrote the bill, they passed the bill. Yeah. So who really stopped us from getting 2,000? The Democrats did. Yeah. Why? Because they could have had it in there. They just
could have had that bill however they wanted.
Right. They still passed it with 0 Republicans.
First and foremost, this is the administration of unity. We are going to unite America and move forward as the United States. We just dropped 1.9 trillion with a T, $1.9 trillion with 0 party unity. Mm-hmm. 0.
And then they blamed it on the other party.
Yes.
That they couldn't get what they wanted in it.
They could have made
they still passed it.
They could have made it $10,000 a person.
Right.
If they were really for us, this wasn't a problem. It was about paying them. It was about paying off their debts. It was about transferring the money. And this was the pennies we got. It's $1,400, people. Maybe your rent. I know in the tri-state area, you're lucky if your rent is $1,400 a month. So if you've been out of work for the past, year now, I'm sure the $1,400 is going to go real far for you because, Americans live off of dimes and nickels, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what rich people think.
Yeah.
And they're all rich, all of them. Let me restate this one more time.
Here we go again. They did something across party lines with 0 agreement, and they're leveraging, maybe we'll get our freedom back.
Yeah. Again, let me restate this. They're blaming Republicans for us not getting $2,000 checks. Not a single Republican voted for the bill, and the bill passed. Meaning, anything the Democrats wanted could have been in the bill, and the bill would have passed. Why? Because it passed anyway without a single Republican. They didn't have to negotiate with them, right? They didn't negotiate with them.
No.
So what happened was there's something going on in there. Like there's your establishment Democrats
Yeah.
against your progressive AOC people, and they don't agree with each other as much as they sell you that they do,
But like
and all
one
that shit.
Democrat voted no, I think.
Yeah, probably Manchin,
Yeah.
I believe, but still, like, dude, hold that guy into the
Yeah.
fire, whatever. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
all bullshit. They scapegoated him for it. All you need is the one, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So they could just scapegoat him,
Yeah.
make him out to
They
look like
told him
shit.
to vote no, and
Probably
they
right.
probably paid him
Yeah.
off for it.
Wake up,
We could
man.
have got
Wake up.
2,000. Yeah, perfect. Wake up. Woke people asleep. Up is down. Down
Yes.
is up.
Yeah.
Like
That's
we
a
are
good way to
in.
put it. The
Yeah.
woke people are asleep.
Yeah.
Want to move on to our best friend, our buddy, our
Yeah.
pal, Andy. Andy Dandy.
Andrew Cuomo. First and foremost, please, people, we're only getting the sexual assault, so we forget that he killed 1,300 elderly people in nursing homes.
Again, just like with Meghan Markle, one is not worse than the other. All we're trying to say,
Yeah.
all we're trying to say is he did more than he just like the royal
One-
family did more than one bad thing.
Yeah.
And they're pushing the divisive. Again, the media is only pushing the
Yeah.
divisive.
This all stops when
story
the
on
media
you.
dies. It's the
When
truth.
when this like
Yeah.
strategy dies
Yeah.
of the media
Until
of
the
pushing
media stops,
divisiveness.
there's no way to stop propaganda. And so here we go. One allegation, the guy retires with probably full benefits and a pension of hundreds of $1,000s a year, and he gets to live the rest of his life in a lap of luxury.
if he resigned or if
Yeah,
he,
if he just resigned. The other is an investigation that could unravel an entire portion of a possibly dark agenda, which is COVID.
the nursing homes.
There's there's 4 other states that did exactly as he did. If this could be proven that like they knew and they all lied about it, COVID could really unravel.
There could be something to what
Yeah.
you're saying that they're trying
And
to
he
press
spends
this to
and he
deflect.
spends life in prison. I'm sorry. I truly hate this guy. I want him in prison. I want justice. I don't want him living in a huge fucking house in the middle of who knows what beautiful landscape, making 500 grand a year with full health benefits till the day he dies, and it gets passed on to his grandkids, because he was a terrible governor.
Okay,
I want justice. I want him stripped of everything. I want him to be treated the way Ted Cruz would be treated if he was in his situation.
Yeah, I get it. I get
You
it. He had a press conference today, which was weird, right? Because I knew it was coming. I didn't get to watch it live. I went to watch it later, and it wasn't video. It was only audio for some reason. That might have something to do with him trying to minimize exposure. Maybe I had that thought right off the bat. But let's talk about what he said. At this point in time, it's what's today?
The 12th.
12th, right? And it's
We
8:30
fucked up
p.m.
last time.
Is it 12th?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, we don't know what day it is. Double check. Let's see. Let's make sure because this could change at any moment.
Yeah. It's the 12th, Friday the 12th.
So it's Friday the 12th. It's 8:31 p.m. At this moment in time, 6 people have accused him. Right?
I don't mean to laugh at that.
by the
I'm
time-
laughing at how absurd.
By the way, why I'm saying that is because by the time this episode comes out on Monday, it could be 66 people.
That's
right?
the other thing. I want people to understand, like, I posted this on my personal Facebook, like, what is it going to take to get Cuomo out of office? We're at 6 women now. Like, how many women need to come out for people to cross party lines? For people who are diehard Democrats to be like, okay, 13 women is crazy.
I do think that
It's there.
it's
Yeah.
there. Like,
But-
you're seeing AOC, you're
Right.
seeing that all
But
the
the
New York
problem I
Democrats.
have with this is now, like, so that means the magic number is 6. You know what I mean? Like, for the people who raked Kavanaugh over the coals, now you're kind of saying, well, for your party,
one.
for
So
your
mine,
party,
6.
it has to be some shoddy story from 40 years ago, and we believe it. For our story, 6 people need to show proof.
Right. Let's go into what he said today at his press conference. He said he did not do what was alleged, and he will not speculate on the people's motives making these accusations against him. He also said that there's often many motivations for people making sorts of allegations, and people need to know the facts before they make a decision on what to do with him, basically. He says he knows the difference between playing politics. I'm sorry. He says that people know the difference between playing politics, bowing to cancel culture, and the truth. Governor Andrew Cuomo is saying that cancel culture is what's targeting him. Isn't that
Okay,
incredible?
so then, okay, so let's dive in. Let's take his
He's a
own words.
Republican now.
Let's take his own words. Why would cancel culture be coming after you? So, okay. This is my new favorite game for the Joe Biden administration. I love this time. Okay, so now if cancel culture is coming after you, why are they coming after you? You either A, really sexually assaulted these women and deserve to be canceled, or B, you've been such a shitty fucking governor for so long now that the state is trying to cancel, that people are trying to cancel you. You need to go either way. I've said it from over a year now. New York will never be successful as long as Cuomo and de Blasio are in any type of power. They shouldn't even be in power of the fucking supply closet at Dunder Mifflin. All right.
All we're saying is we want better for
Yeah.
New York, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Although, yeah, go ahead. You've been wanting to read
I'm sorry.
this,
Let me
yeah.
keep going on what else he said in his press conference today. He said that he's not going to resign, and that he let the review that's going on regarding this whole situation, proceed, and that he's not a member of the political club, and he's proud of it. And I wrote LMAO. He's trying to say that he's not a member of the establishment. He's not a member of the political club, and that's why he's being targeted now all of a sudden. Well, get the fuck out of here. Come on, bro. You're a fucking corrupt scumbag prick.
Yeah.
You made a wrong decision, and and you were part of the club, but you
Yeah.
know what? You
Now
made the
you
wrong
just
decision.
got kicked out.
You made the club look bad. So you know what? The club's got to
The
pay.
only people who can stay in office with 6 sexual harassment suits against them are people
In the club.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are not in the club, at the top of the club. Running the people who run the club get away with this type of shit.
He's saying he's not in the club. This is the same guy who has his little brother on CNN parroting his points.
Can we talk about CNN? We're gonna.
He says he's not a club, right? He's got his little brother, on CNN, basically doing propaganda for him for all those months. He got an Emmy for his news conferences. People were, other blue check liberal, on Twitter and were calling themselves Cuomo-sexuals earlier this year. People were saying that they should have replaced Biden with Cuomo because of Biden's mental, Democrat people were saying that. He was the gold standard. He was the boy. He was the golden boy earlier
the COVID gold standard. He lied about 13,000 elderly people. He told you to stay in your house and wear a mask everywhere you go because you're going to kill grandma and grandpa. And then he went on and killed 13,000 grandma and grandpas. And they said he was the gold standard of COVID.
Yeah, now he's the resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
This is only actions from people who fucking... That's why he said he's not in the club. It's because he runs the fucking club. He's at the top.
Yeah.
You don't become the governor of New York without sucking a dick or two.
Plain and simple, he made the club look bad. Now they got it's like at 2 Brutus when everybody stabbed Julius Caesar in the back. That's what's going on. Sorry, you play stupid games, you win stupid fucking prizes. If you're just being honest and done the right thing over the years, the public would have your support. I think this is it. I think this is it for Cuomo.
You know why?
I don't think he's. I know we have like.
Well, I gotta say,
I know we're cynical. We have no confidence. I think this is it.
I hate Cuomo, and people know I have this dislike for him. I got to tell you, Cuomo, if you ever listen to this, I got a little bit of admiration for you because we've always joked about, like, I don't give a fuck, not a fuck to give. My last fuck flew out the window. Millions of jokes. You couldn't find a fuck if you tried, man.
Cuomo?
You have been accused 6 times now, and you have denied these allegations 6 times in a row.
You say double, triple. What's like 6?
Yeah.
6 topple
Well, 8
down.
is octillion.
He's doubled down every time. Trump should be proud because Trump was the double down guy. Cuomo's
Yes.
doubled down 6 times
I
now.
would love to see what you do at a blackjack table. It
Oh
must
yeah.
be astounding
You know
because you
what?
have no idea what you're doing right
You know
now.
what he? You ever seen Austin Powers when he has 20 and he's like, "Hit me." He's like, "Sir, you have 20." He's like, "I like to live
That's
dangerously."
that
He's,
is all Como's been
yeah.
doing. Look up Councilman Dexhart from Parks and Recreation. It was a character on a political comedy show who was continuously throughout his entire career being caught in these crazy sexual allegations, and he would show up and make an apology for lying about building homes for the homeless while having cave sex in Brazil. And then a later report in the day is
What show is this from?
Parks and
Oh, okay,
Recreation.
I never
And
watched
then
it, but
later in the day, breaking news, Councilman Dexhart was caught having sex in the limo on the way to his apology for having. This is what Como has been doing.
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't matter anymore. He's going to go up there and be like, "I didn't sexually harass this woman," and then turn and sexually harass a woman on camera,
camera.
and no
No,
one's
that
going to
never
say nothing
happened.
about it.
You
Yeah,
never saw that.
and he's going to look back in the camera and be like, "That didn't happen."
Yeah. Throughout this whole thing, one person I really have to give credit for or to, and I've been following very closely, is Ron T. Kim, Democratic Assemblyman. He has been consistently trying to make the point that, yes, we should get Cuomo for sexual harassment, but don't let them distract you from the nursing home scandal
Yeah.
at the same time. Both are equally as important, which is all that we're saying. He has completely been on message and trying to hammer that home this entire time.
At least somebody
Doing
is.
a great job.
That's who's not part of the club.
Right.
Because everybody who's part of the club isn't talking
Isn't
about
talking
that
about
stuff.
that, yeah.
So I wanted to bring up CNN, which is clearly part of the fucking club. CNN has denied. Now I don't speak high. That Fox is my favorite. I go to Fox because it's probably easier to digest. I mean, I watch.
As a Republican, yeah.
Yeah, I watched Biden's speech on CNN last night, and like the minutes leading up to it was just
Okay, you made a mistake there. I watched it on CBS News, and you don't watch
no.
the.
I went to the source. I wanted to get their
Yeah, I see what you
perspective.
mean. But from a mental health point of view, don't go to Fox. Don't
To
go
be
to
perfectly
CNN.
honest with you, I just went to the first station I found that
I see.
said Biden speaking, and it was
What
CNN.
I did was I went to CBS News, who's for the most part they have a spin, but they kind of just report the news. And I waited for like the exact moment I saw him walking,
Okay.
and I'm like, okay, now I'll start listening.
Yeah,
and then
unmute.
as soon as he stopped, I shut it off.
Oh yeah, I took.
I don't need to hear
Yeah.
the what they're going to feed you about it. I'll go and read. I'll listen to it myself. Then me and you will talk about it. I don't need to hear what these propaganda stations, or regardless of Fox or
But
CNN,
anyway.
whatever, they're going to tell you.
CNN has truly not found the Como scandal on any level of COVID or sexual harassment newsworthy. They've barely covered it. His brother, Chris Como, mentioned that it would be unethical for him to talk about his brother. But meanwhile, Chris Como has no problem with speaking about illegally obtained tax records of the sitting president at the time.
Or parroting every other point that Cuomo's
Yes.
made over the years, having
Yeah.
him on and joking about why was anything else appropriate or ethical that he could promote his brother, but now because his brother's under fire,
Yeah.
it's not ethical anymore. I can't talk about
And
it.
and on top of it, not just there's more than one person on CNN who gives the news. There's more than one person on CNN who
Mm-hmm.
interviews people. If anything, CNN should have Como on
One of
and
those
be
other
like
shows.
"You're home. This is your home. Tell us your side." You know what I mean? Like we're not
Brian
even
Stelter, one of those other
Yeah.
shows. Yeah.
none of those other shows spoke about the Como scandal either. It's like it doesn't happen on CNN. Meanwhile, everyone else is covering it. His brother works there. You want to talk about ethics? This looks pretty fucking unethical. Finally, they've waited so long. CNN has waited so long to talk about the Como scandal that on Fox News, it's actually an article like CNN still hasn't admitted to Como scandal. And then finally today, Fox News had an article that CNN finally covered
Yeah.
it, but they didn't. They didn't really go dive deep into it. They didn't accuse him. They didn't talk about the sixth accuser at all.
They just in passing mentioned it.
I don't even think it was a live interview or anything. It was like an op-ed.
To add some color to what you said, Fox News and CNN hate each other,
Oh
and
yeah,
they always. I see it all the time. They're always writing articles about each other, taking like sniping at each other. So that's
yeah,
nothing new.
yeah.
They've done that for years, from before we. I mean, I
I'll agree
remember
to that. Yeah.
back before even Trump was a president. They were. I remember them reading an article about, well, they're bad because of this, and the other one they're bad because of that.
But I mean, you got. I mean, if CNN is supposed to be, this is something happening, man. There's no denying it. And
What's the fact that like two media or news organizations write articles sniping at each other is ridiculous.
yeah,
They-
yeah,
You're supposed to report the news. They're
yeah. You're not supposed to report the other news.
right. Let's be honest. The media, the news in this country are not news. They're propaganda channels, right? Literally, and Fox News is propaganda channels for a specific conservative mindset, and CNN, etc., are a propaganda
Yeah.
channel for liberals and Democrats, establishment, etc. That's it. They're not legitimate.
Like I
if
said,
you go to another
like I said,
country and
they
turn on
are-
the news,
Oh, yeah, we got different news,
It's
yeah.
completely different.
Yeah.
Obviously every country is different, but I don't feel like there definitely is propaganda in other countries, right?
Yes,
But
there has to be.
I don't think it's so hyper partisan as our media.
It's
is.
more. It might be more widely accepted.
I don't understand the dynamic of every other country either, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember
It's just-
I remember when I was in South
It's a real
Africa.
shame though. Like this is ridiculous because it's getting to a point where it's like, how many women need to come out before like, like okay, so CNN like if six women coming out against the governor of New York, whoever the governor of New York, even if it was a Republican governor of New York, you mean to tell me, CNN, that it's not newsworthy until 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 women come out? Like, what's the number that CNN finally admits there's a problem?
Yeah.
Everyone else has been admitting there's a problem since number one, which is the news, which is what the news should be doing. So CNN, you got to give us the number of when is enough. Because if nothing's going to happen, 100 women might as well come out. You know what I mean?
CNN
like
are Cuomo fanboys. They're going down with the ship, bro.
Yeah.
To the last day.
You know what though? Admirable. Like Cuomo doesn't have a fuck to give. He's going. You got to think like before the sixth accuser comes out, he finds out that the sixth accuser is coming out. You know what I mean? Like he knows before
ahead
we
of time.
know.
Well, he knows obviously he's the one who did it.
Exactly. So he sits there and his advisors are like, another one's coming out, and he's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna get on TV tomorrow and tell him I didn't do it and I'm not quitting. Like he makes that decision like
Ahead of time.
You know what I mean? Like he's doubling down before we even know he doubled down.
Yeah. He's already made the decision that I think so far he's made the decision that he's not going to resign, and they're going to have to.
Doubled down.
He's
six
gonna
times.
he's gonna force them. I think there's always like you're saying there's like a deeper thought process to all this, right? I think he's made a decision. If they're going to get rid of me, they're going to have to impeach me, and you know what? That's not going to be easy. Because I could use my leverage, my political will, my this.
Yeah, you run
my
the club.
that,
You know the dirt of the club.
I could use my connections. I could do this. I could do it, and I could fight back in an
That might be
impeachment trial.
interesting.
Right? You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see. If
Imagine like Schumer versus fucking like Cuomo. Oh man,
that
I'm
leads
getting
me-
excited.
that
This is
leads
like
me- that leads me to my last point on Cuomo here is right before we started this episode, Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand, which are our two senators from New York, they called for Cuomo to resign.
Wow, Schumer joined in.
Yes,
So
and
I,
the two senators from New York.
oh, so
both called for
I
him to
didn't
resign.
know that because the last I
This
heard
was right before we started.
Okay, so the last I heard was Nader and AOC started calling for his resignation.
Yeah, AOC has
and,
been
and
calling for
I'm
it.
sorry, Joe Biden doesn't need
Hasn't
to get
chimed in, but he hasn't chimed. He should chime in.
And on top of that, Kamala, you are the first female VP.
Yeah, so
You-
woke. So woke.
You
haven't said a
need-
word about it. You're so woke.
Yes, I'm sorry. You
A
are
champion
the role,
for women's rights.
Yes.
Champion.
Yes.
Not a
you
word.
are the role model for all girls across the as I'm sure the Biden administration would say, you're the role model for women across the world. And one of your own is being accused by not one, not two, not four, not five, six. and maybe a 7, and by the time this episode gets out, maybe an 8th.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't said a word yet, but you went off on Brett Kavanaugh, and that's fine because you were allowed to believe him.
Or
You
not
should have
believe him,
believed
right?
him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Until you heard the facts, you had to make your own decision. You are the vice president. All eyes are on you. Be the powerful woman that Joe Biden picked you for.
Mm.
I'm challenging you to be the woman that, I have my own issues with you. Do the right thing. You are the role model.
Yeah.
And if you're okay with this, then I can't say you're
Yeah.
much of a role
I'm
model.
going to say this to do men doing more to get justice for women than Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally. So, all right.
Asking powerful women to step up for other women.
Let's move on to our last topic here. Something
This
holds
is
near and dear to my
yes.
heart
This is going to be a blip on the radar
for many people because this is not something maybe near and dear to everybody's heart, but maybe it is.
There will be the episode. There will be the gun control episode.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's gonna come, and we're gonna start it.
Yes. So the other day, I'm gonna read you some news first. There was a new gun control bill passed in the House. It hasn't passed officially yet because it still has to go through the Senate, etc. I think me and you are pretty familiar now with how the process works.
Yeah.
First, it goes through the House.
If you listen to the show, you should have learned a little bit about your government.
First, usually it goes through either one first. First, it goes right. This gun control bill first it goes through the House. Now the Senate has to approve it. Not 100% sure if it's going to pass or not.
But it
let's
doesn't
talk
matter if
about
any of the GOP vote on it.
Yeah, it doesn't. So on Thursday, the House approved a pair of gun control bills. And
Hold on a second. We can't get $15 minimum wage. We couldn't get $2,000
gun
checks.
control, though, yeah.
No, we got a pair. We got two.
Two,
We got two bills in
Yeah.
one day. It took them over 5-6 months to sign the $1.9 trillion check so we could get an extra $1,400. But you could get two gun control bills in one day.
Yeah, when you think about it, literally as soon as they finished the COVID-19 thing, bam, they had this ready. You know what I mean? Like, bam, that was the first like priority right after they got the COVID thing, which they wasted 40-something days with Trump's impeachment before they got the COVID thing done, etc.
Because they were busy on revenge instead of making America great again.
Let's get into this because
Wonder
this
who
is not going to get enough coverage, and it deserves coverage, right? Because the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment, and it is, right? So,
And we've already lost the first.
yeah. So, this is from Reuters.com. These bills, right? It passed, and it would close a long-standing loophole in gun laws by expanding background checks to those purchasing weapons over the internet, at gun shows, and through certain private transactions. Only 8 Republicans joined the Democrats in backing the bill. Some Republicans actually did vote for this in the House. That's one bill. It's 2 bills. The second bill passed 219-210 with only 2 Republicans supporting it. It would give authorities 10 business days for federal background checks to be completed before a gun sale can be licensed. Currently, let me finish.
Full 10.
Let me finish. Currently, no, it doesn't. We're going to get into this. We're going to do a deep dive. Currently, such sales can proceed if the government cannot. So, such sales, like a sale of guns, can keep going if the government doesn't complete the background check within 3 days. They're saying now that the sale cannot proceed. No, I'm sorry. They're saying that the sale can proceed if the government doesn't finish the background check in
so
in
it's
10
giving
days.
them. Okay.
It's giving them. They had 3 days before to do the background check. Now they're saying that the FBI, the government, it has 10 days to do the background check. If they don't do the background check within the 10 days, the sale can proceed. You could go and buy the gun, etc.
So if they don't do their job, you still get the gun.
Yes.
Okay.
Long story short, it's still got to pass the Senate. So on paper, this sounds like it makes sense, right? They're giving the government 10 extra days to look into, do your background check, etc. And they're trying to close the loophole, which they are saying was a loophole which was his name Dylan Roof, I feel like the the guy who shot up the church in the
Don't
South.
know.
They're saying that he got through buying a gun with this loophole,
Well,
and they're
yeah, in
extending the
certain
amount.
states, you can go to a gun show, and as long as you have a state ID, a valid state ID, you can, like, so if you go to like Kansas or Kentucky where they have like open carry where you don't need a license for a gun, you could go to a gun show with a Kentucky or a state compliant ID because Kentucky might recognize Utah, New Mexico, and Arizona's
Right.
carrying license. And you could go to a gun show and it's all private sellers who, I got 5 AR-15s and I need money for my new RV, so I'm gonna sell these all. And you could go buy, an AR-15 with just showing your
Yeah, in certain
license.
states, right?
Yes,
Not here.
it's not.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen nationwide. It's not as big as you think it is. It's only certain states. There's multiple rules upon this.
Yeah, this is a very complicated, complex
Yeah.
situation. The laws are all different around the country and whatnot. Gun rights advocates don't want to give an inch, right?
Good.
And I kind of understand why, because as soon as this passed, Democrats immediately started talking about how they want to pass another bill now, banning the sales of high capacity military assault rifles, right? So
Which nobody can buy.
gun rights advocates always say you can't give them an inch because as soon as you give them the one little tiny inch, they go for the next inch. And then after that, they go for the next one and the next one. And they'll never stop until the Second Amendment is repealed or it doesn't even matter that there's a Second Amendment anymore because there's so many rules on the books that it's.
And we'll on the gun control episode, we'll get into it.
This
I
is
live
it, dude.
in.
This is it. We're talking about it now.
Oh no, I'm not. I can't sit here all night and talk about
We're not going to
this.
sit here all night, but I want to.
I live in New York. I am going through the pistol permit process
Yeah.
right now. We need all these background checks. All this. Oh, there's such a gun issue in the state of New York for me to get a handgun. It might, in theory, it could possibly take me up to 3 years before I get to have the actual gun in my hand. And even then, I can only travel with it from the gun store back home and from there on out only to target ranges. I could try and apply for a sportsman license where I could take it with me while I'm hunting and camping and hiking and stuff like that. But if I
But
don't
even
get
then,
that,
there's rules that.
other than that, I can only take it to if and I can't stop anywhere. If you stop for gas, cool.
Right.
But if you were to stop for a burger, you go to jail.
Right.
We need more. I have to wait 3 years. I might not even be living in the state in the next 3 years.
Yeah. These laws, one of the chief proponents of these rules is Senator Chris Murphy, my best friend. Never had an argument with that guy before, or his supporters ever. He's one of the biggest proponents, guys, pushing for bills like this. It doesn't do anything to Connecticut. It doesn't change anything in New York. I also went for a New York City pistol permit. The whole process took me a full year, and I got it, right? A full year. This is telling you 10 days, right? So this doesn't apply to most states, especially the northern states. I did my pistol permit over here in Connecticut. It took me like 4 months to get it. So it wasn't no 10 days. They did a thorough thing.
I was telling a friend who's also going through the pistol. We did this together, a few weeks apart. But he was like, I don't care. I'm just getting it done. I want this done. I was like, I get that, but I was like, but if I moved to Connecticut tomorrow, I'd have a pistol in my house before you even get fingerprinted.
Yeah, probably. And what I'm trying to say is that the states already have very strict rules.
Yeah.
Not every state. In Texas, I'm pretty sure you can do whatever the fuck you want, right? But most of the states, especially the Democrat liberal ones, have very strict rules.
Yeah.
And those states have tremendous gun violence, right?
Yeah.
New York City has an insane amount of gun violence,
Chicago.
right? No, you are not allowed to have a concealed carry permit in New York City unless you're like a business owner or a security guard or a police officer, right? But the gun violence is tremendously through the roof. So all these super strict gun laws are not actually affecting the gun violence in any way whatsoever. They're just making it harder for the people like me and you who want to follow the rules and do the right thing, and we only want to have a gun for hunting and for personal protection and in like the most extreme scenario.
Listen,
those sort of people are not the ones out there committing violence. The criminals are, and they're not going to follow the fucking rules.
No. No, it just makes it more difficult. In last summer during all the protests and the riots, when they were coming through the Bronx and stuff like
Yes,
that,
helpless, bro. Yeah.
you were helpless.
Yes, I worked in those.
If
Yeah.
50 people came up to your house, you had 50 people outside your house. There was nothing
hmm
you could do about it.
Listen, man, when those riots and those that all that craziness was going on in the summertime, I worked in one of the poorest neighborhoods in the Bronx, and one of, and there was a lot of violence going on in that neighborhood. And now I'm coming from a like rural neighborhood where I'm allowed to carry and defend myself, and there's never really any
And there's no
violence
reason to.
violence like that. Going back to where I came from in the Bronx and a really bad area around, and like my ability to protect myself is I'm not I couldn't
Diminished.
I couldn't
Yeah.
do it in a place where I didn't need to protect myself over here
Yeah.
in the woods in Connecticut, right? But in the Bronx where there's people burning buildings down
Yeah.
2 blocks away from where I was working, smashed my buildings, some things on my building where I was working, I couldn't protect
Yeah.
myself in any like how nonsensical does that make? Like, I didn't need a gun over here,
Yeah,
but I could
and
have one. Over there, I needed
yeah,
one, but I couldn't have it.
we put it perfectly. The places that, when you live in Maine and walking your dog means you might cross paths with a
A
bear.
bear, right? Yeah,
Where we've gone camping, you hopped off a tree, walked down a path.
and
All you had is a bow
a
and a
bear across
pocket
my
knife on
path.
you,
Yeah,
and a black bear is standing 15 feet away from
right.
you.
In that situation, I kind of no joke,
Yeah.
no joke. When we went hunting, when I went hunting, a literal huge black bear. I was walking down a trail to where I was going hunting, and a huge black bear crossed my path. All I had was my bow. I kind of and like in that situation, like I wasn't expecting a bear. I
Yeah.
wasn't in like hunting mode. I wasn't expecting a bear to be crossing the path. I kind of wished I had a pistol on me,
Yeah.
right? As only a method of self defense, right? Because I couldn't like knock my arrow, take a clean shot if it had charged me or
Yeah.
whatever. It's a black bear. They're pretty skittish. It just walked off when it saw me.
And in New York state law, because we have all this gun control already, during bow season, you are not allowed to carry a gun at all in the
Yes,
state of New
but
York.
I kind of agree with that because people are going
Yeah,
to
then
shoot
people
the
are going to
deer
cheat. Yeah,
with the
I know.
pistol,
I know.
and it's not game.
I know.
It's not
But,
sports gun like.
so when we first went hunting last May and we were hunting turkey and you have to have the bird pellets, right?
Yes.
And, oh, you weren't there. It was me,
Yeah.
Sammy, and
Yeah.
Justin.
Yeah.
And there was a conservation officer because somebody in the field we were in got something. So he was checking everyone on their way out. In my ammo bag, I had slugs, a different type
A
of
bullet,
bullet
a
that we
big
weren't
bullet.
allowed to have while hunting turkey. I wasn't hunting with them, they were just in my bag. And he was like, you're not supposed to have these. And I looked at him and I said, that sign says bobcats in the woods that I'm sitting in.
Mhm.
I want something that's going to be in my favor. You know what I mean? And it's not even that I could change it out, and be ready in
In
time,
a
but
split
like
second.
you
Yeah.
feel a little better. But because of these gun control laws, there's rules and regulations like that. People who want more gun control don't understand. That's why I'm
Yeah.
saying it needs
Guns.
to be a whole episode because the people who want more gun control don't even realize how much gun control there already
hmm
is. Like if they were to actually lay out to you all the gun control there is, you would probably be like, I kind of feel
hmm
safe. Like these shootings that take place in these mass shootings, there's always a different stipulation to them. You know what I mean? That they don't harp on. He's schizophrenic and his father had a
There's
case of gun.
yeah.
They just this is the gun he bought. This is the gun he had. What about the shooter? The gun. If you buy a gun to kill people and you leave it on your front porch, you're
hmm
gonna return that gun because it ain't gonna kill
Let
anyone.
me tell you. Let me tell you a personal story I have actually regarding that. I live up here.
Oh, you're
I
close to all the Sandy Hook people.
Yes, I'm very close to where the Sandy Hook school shooting happened, and I go to the ranges here. I've talked to other gun owners and whatnot, and the guy's name is Adam Lanza, I believe,
Yeah.
who did the shooting. So because I'm in that area, I've met people who met him, and a lot of them, from conversations I had with some of these gun guys, were like, "I seen this guy before at the range, talked to him a little bit here and there." Completely normal guy. Was respectful, was nice. This was a legit conversation I had with somebody. You would have never known there was something wrong with this guy. So, what could a law have if a normal person, right? If a
Yeah.
gun professional talk with this guy. Like as a gun owner, you're like pretty. You're like keeping an eye on
You
things. You're
know,
pretty observant.
right?
You know what I mean?
We've gone shooting with our friends dozens of times, and you know
Right off the bat,
within seconds
who's
of
responsible
giving
enough or
them
not?
that
Yeah,
that gun,
yeah.
right away you're like, if I turn away, everyone's dead. Like I
Right.
need a hand on you at
Yeah.
all times. Yeah.
Especially like a range officer or
Yeah.
whoever's very observant of
Yes,
people's
even more
behavior.
so.
And some people I've spoken to said that he
No
didn't
red flags.
no
No
red
red
flag
flags.
whatsoever. So what could a law have done to stop that?
Yeah.
Nothing. And it's terrible what happened, right? But there was nothing a
They're,
law
they're,
would have done to
but
change
see,
it. He would have, if he snapped, he could have, whatever. He could have done anything.
yes,
Who knows?
that's the. So they're saying, okay, but if he didn't, they're trying to preemptively take the gun away. So if he didn't have that specific gun, he couldn't.
But I
the
see in
but the
his
truth of
scenario,
yeah.
I think he went and took some of his mom's guns or something.
No,
It
I
wasn't even
understand
his
that.
guns.
I understand that. But if she was never able to buy an AR-15, AR-15, he would have never had an AR to go shoot up a school. But the fact of the matter is, there are hunting rifles that are the exact. So I
Yeah.
always, when we do
It-
the
oh,
gun control
yeah.
episode, I'm going to break out a diagram. There is several manufactured rifles that in a state like New York that I could still buy that are perfectly legal. You could go to any gun store and buy and order them. They have the same barrel length, same barrel width, same rate of fire, same ammunition capacity, same feeding mechanism as a AR-15. The only difference is one is all black with a forward grip and a scope and a pistol
threatening.
handle, and the other one is a wooden gun that looks like your grandfather's hunting rifle. They do the exact same thing, but I could go buy a dozen of the hunting rifle looking one and none of the black scary one
Right.
and cause the same type of
Destruction.
problems.
Right. You could cause the same sort of destruction with a
Yeah.
handgun, with a
These,
shotgun,
yeah,
anything.
you could
Yeah.
probably do even worse with a shotgun, and then you could keep going down, hurting children or hurting people in any manner, even if you took a broken piece of glass and started running around and hurting people with it is a horrific effort. How far are we plastic knife? We're gonna go from AR-15s to plastic knives or
Yeah.
something.
We have-
Shivs,
We have to help those people.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Taking away the rights of everybody else because you have fucked up people is not the answer.
The
The answer
only-
is trying to
Yeah.
help those people, make that so that we don't have fucked up people
Yeah.
like that.
And when you look at it, the states that have the carry permits or the states that are known for, like Tennessee, we had a great time in Tennessee. We learned a lot about Tennessee. Tennessee has some pretty shitty gun control rules because you could go to jail and get out of jail and still get a carry permit. But you got to also think like outside of like the real bad areas, everyone in Tennessee's like, well, this bank's probably not going to get robbed because me, Joe, Jim,
Yeah.
Sarah, we're all fucking packing. But I also thought last night though, like wipe out gun control, right? Like things change, rules change, and everybody starts buying like Call of Duty guns or something like that. Like there is a certain tipping point where it starts to get a little nerve wracking that like
Is it? We've never been there before.
you're right,
A
you're
well
right.
armed,
but, like,
the always argument is a well armed society is a polite
Yeah.
society.
but that's the thing. Like, I would think, like, even if I had, like, from Call of Duty, like the Kilo and the MP7, like, you know what I mean? Like, I still, like, as scary as it would be that, like, my neighbors could have these, although at the same time, everybody's like, we don't even know what you're going to bring to the table. We're just going to be nice. Like, I think eventually, like,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
There's
I know
a
what you mean.
tipping point on both ends.
If everybody had AR-15s, you'd be nervous, right? Because everybody has AR-15. Let me put it this way. Let me extrapolate this to the Earth and humanity and society in general. How many countries have nuclear weapons?
tons, yeah.
How many countries have used them against each other?
Zero.
Only one. Right?
Well, yeah,
Only
you're
us.
right,
We used
you're
it one time.
Stupid me.
Right? Everybody's got these nukes, right? Are we nervous all the time that we're going to use them against each other? Yes. Have we? No. Only the one time we could. And listen. The only time nuclear weapons were ever used in warfare was when only one person had them,
Yeah.
and it was us, right?
Yeah.
As soon as everybody had them, no one's used them, right? Think of it that way.
Yeah.
I'm just extrapolating like an AR-15
Yeah,
to
no,
the
it's
whole
understandable.
to
Yeah,
society at large. Like
yeah.
trying to draw it to nuclear
It
weapons.
slows things down. You
Yeah.
have to think before
Why?
you act.
A well-armed society.
Yeah,
Now we're talking about
is a
the
polite
Earth.
society. Yeah.
The Earth is a well-armed society. Is a little bit more of a polite society. If no
You,
one
you know
else
what
had
the
if no one else had developed a nuke besides in America, I guarantee you we'd have
we'd
used
be
them in
nuking everyone.
Vietnam.
Yeah,
We'd have used them against. They wouldn't have been in Cold War. It'd have
yeah,
been the hot war, and we would have wiped Russia
yeah.
off the fucking face of the earth.
Yeah.
We would have probably used them in every other war. Why?
You know
Because
the same
we
people.
got this, and you don't got
The
nothing.
same people who were mad that like Texas dropped a mask mandate when like you still could wear a mask are the same people who hate guns because they're like, well, I don't want a gun to feel safe. You don't need to buy a gun then.
Right.
Just it's that one weird option like you don't need
Yeah.
one if you don't want
People
one.
want to
Like,
control. They want to control everything. Our opinion is always like freedom. If you want to wear a mask, go
Yeah.
ahead. If you're gay and you want to get married, go ahead.
You know,
if you want to be
I-
transgender, go ahead. If you
the-
want to own a gun,
Yeah,
go ahead.
my biggest-
I'm not telling you not to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm telling you to do everything.
Yeah.
However you want.
Yeah. My biggest argument with the gun debate is like, okay, so there's all these mass shootings that take place, and why does the mass shooting happen? Because because nobody in that area has a gun. You're a crazed mass shooter, right? You have mental problems. You bought a gun off the black market, which a lot of people can do. You have a nice new AR-15 that you bought out of the back of a van. You come to a fork in the road. It says Building A has 50 people in it and no one is armed. Building B has 50 people in it, but 15 people are armed. As crazy as you can imagine yourself being, what
Which one are you
fucking
gonna
room are you
choose?
going to?
Right, or which building are you going to choose? Yeah.
Yes.
People who to say, first of all, the mass shooting, the school shooting thing has slowed down. There
Well,
is
it's because nobody's in school
school,
anymore.
but it also kind of slowed down a little bit before that too.
Yeah.
But how do we fix that problem? That's obviously a problem, since Columbine, right?
Yeah. It's a freak accident.
It is. But my idea was teachers should have the option
Oh, yes.
to concealed carry. And now people are going to be like, well, you want teachers to be, carrying, and we need to, ask teachers to, not only to be responsible for our kids and teach our kids, but now we got to ask them to be marksmen. No, all I'm saying is
The ones.
no. I'm not saying that any of them have to do it. The option should be there, right? Because I believe in concealed carry. Concealed carry introduces doubt to a perpetrator, right? I'm not
He
going
has to weigh his risks.
Right, exactly. If concealed carry is possible, how do I know who has a gun or who doesn't have a gun? Now I have to take a risk. I might not come out of here, or I might not get as many people as I want because somebody could be packing and take me out. I don't think open carry is a good idea because then you become the first target. But introduce the fact that teachers could have a gun. It's up to them. Let them make the decision if they want to do it or not. If they don't want to and they don't think it's a good idea, introduce freedom.
Yeah.
Make a decision.
The idea of freedom offends people.
It does. But what I'm saying is the idea that they could
I
possibly
agree
have a
with you.
gun
I agree
could
with
be
you.
a deterrent
'Cause
to mass shooters.
Most of the school shootings that the people, don't hear about that we come across because we do the research and we're looking for news and stuff. Most of the school shootings that you don't hear about is somebody runs into a school, gets a few shots off, and then a peace officer or some type of security guard that is on campus or a police officer or somebody. The quickest way to end a mass shooting is for the people who are getting shot at to shoot back. So most of these
It's
stories,
like a shitty thing to talk about.
I understand, but most of the stories that don't make it to the mainstream media are because some peace officer who is a security guard at the school had a pistol on him and took out the crazed gunman. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
And he doesn't become a hero. He doesn't get any notoriety. The school's name isn't across every headline in the state. They only give us the juicy details of when the crazed shooter succeeds. Isn't that strange?
Yeah, they're also only highlighting those scenarios. They're highlighting those more than your average gun violence scenario, which is like in Chicago, in
Hold on a second.
the city.
We just discovered the name of today's episode.
What's
We have
that?
basically been talking about red pill, blue pill, gun control, Prince Andrew, Cuomo and CNN. It's all red pill,
Mhm.
blue pill. Which one, do you want Biden giving you the fucking sales pitch, or do you want
The
Trump giving
truth,
you the fucking brutal
the
truth?
stupid truth.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is,
Sorry for that.
it's
Had a
okay.
little revelation.
They're telling you about, or they're highlighting what a problem, like the mass shooting is, which it is a problem, but they're not really like highlighting in the same way your average
Of the success
criminal
story, yeah.
in no,
Oh,
you're
not
like
a success,
your
sorry.
average criminal in the south side of Chicago who gets a gun illegally and goes and shoots people. Like it reminds me of like the Joker and like how just
Yeah.
like one thing's acceptable and the other's not. You know what I mean? Like they're just
Everybody, the Joker ran free and committed as many crimes as he wanted, but the Batman was the one the people hated.
right,
But
right,
yeah.
yeah. If you like let's even talk just like super practically. If there's how many guns in this country? 700 million, I
Yeah.
believe, right? There's 300 million people. There's more guns than people. If we did pass theoretically like if we repealed the Second Amendment, are those 700 million guns going to just vanish? This has been made so many
Yeah.
times at this point, but like those guns don't just vanish. They still exist, right? And it's going to take so many years to remove them all,
My
if
yeah,
ever, if ever.
exactly. Because
It'll never happen. The only thing that will happen is the good law-abiding people are going to turn in their
yeah,
guns, right? Because most of them are going to turn in their guns because this is what the government wants, and I'm a law-abiding citizen. I
yeah.
don't want to go to
Or
jail.
you
I don't
become an
want to be
outlaw.
a criminal. I'm going to turn in my guns, and that's what I'm going to do. The criminals ain't going to do that. They're
Yeah.
going to have more power. You're just taking more
I
power away
mean,
from people to
my
defend
my
themselves.
last point. We've been watching. What's the samurai documentary on Netflix?
Oh, fuck! I can't remember the name of it now.
We'll get you that name. But there is a documentary on Netflix, and it's about the rise of the samurai in Japan. And the guy who ended up completely taking over Japan and bringing peace to generations of civil war. What is
It's
it?
called Age of Samurai:
Age
Battle
of.
for Japan. It's pretty good.
This is a documentary about how there has been generations of people fighting in civil wars for power of Japan. And the guy who finally got the most power went to all the villages, took all
Yeah,
the weapons, and then all of a sudden had complete control
control. Yeah,
of Japan. Gee, I wonder why.
right. It's a trial tested, proven method.
You want to do this guy still?
Yeah.
And then let's wrap it
Yeah,
up
we'll
because
wrap it
I'm
up
about
after
done.
this. Highly recommend people follow this guy on Instagram. His name's Cologne Noir. COLIONNOIR. He is a gun rights activist, and he's also a lawyer. Very smart guy. Knows what he's talking about. Shoots almost every day. He understands guns better than anybody, and gun laws better than anybody I've ever seen in my entire life. So going back to this whole gun control bill, the one that they just passed, that we talked about it before we went on this whole rant, I saw this video that Cologne Noir put about it and how it completely shows the stupidity of one of these two bills. So I'm going to play this. You guys could listen to it. It's going to be about like 2 minutes, and then we could make some final comments, wrap up the episode. All right?
Sounds good.
So you ready?
So right now, if you go to a gun store and undergo a background check to buy a gun, one of the three things will happen. The FBI will approve you instantly, deny you, or if they need more time to check your background or figure out if they have the right person, they'll put you on a delay. If you get a delay, the FBI has 3 days to figure out what they need to figure out to make a decision. If they don't come to a decision in 3 days, the gun store can sell you the gun. On March 2nd, 2021, House Majority Whip James E. Clyburn introduced what he's calling the Enhanced Background Check Act to close what he and the anti-gun lobby call the Charleston loophole. Now, instead of having to wait 3 days if you get a delay, you'll have to wait 10 days. And if the FBI can't get an answer in 10 days, you have to request an escalated review. And then the FBI seemingly has another 10 days. And after those 10 days, if the FBI can't figure out what they need to figure out, then you automatically get to buy the gun. James Clyburn says the Charleston loophole is the flaw in the background check system that enabled a gunman to obtain the weapon used to murder 9 people and wound 3 others as they participated in a Bible study at the historic Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina in June 2015. He goes on to say that had the FBI background check been complete, the perpetrators of the Emmanuel massacre would have been barred from purchasing a firearm. So let me get this straight. They're calling the 3-day period the Charleston loophole because the Charleston shooter was able to buy a gun because the FBI didn't finish their investigation in the required 3 days. So now they want to give the FBI 20 days to finish their investigation before the automatic proceed. So even though this enhanced background check act does the exact same thing as the original law, just with a different waiting period, it's now not a loophole? The first law wasn't a loophole. It was a very deliberate safety measure put in place to prevent the federal government from arbitrarily denying people their Second Amendment rights by simply not completing background checks in a timely manner. Without it, the FBI could just sit on your background check as long as they want to. So now they're trying to inch their way towards the FBI having the ability to do just that. These people think they're...
All right. Do you understand what he's trying to say?
I have no comments because he said it all. Like the FBI didn't do their job.
Right.
We're moving towards the FBI not having to do their job. You get fucked.
Yeah, what he's trying to say is before it was 3 days, the FBI had to do the full background check on you and whatnot, but they don't have to do it, because whatever.
It doesn't.
Bureaucracy, etc.
Now
they got. I'm just saying. Now they have 10 days, maybe 20. And now, the next thing will be, well, we should move it to 40 because the FBI is not doing the reviews in time. Well, now we should move it to 80 because the FBI is still not getting it done in time. But it will never end until you can never get a gun.
I'm going to debunk this right now. I live in the state of New York. I don't live in the city of New York. When you live in the state of New York, the gun laws are slightly different than the city of New York.
Outside New York City.
Right. So I'm not going to say how many I've bought, but when I am allowed to buy a rifle or a shotgun at any given time, Dick's Sporting Goods up until 2020 sold hunting rifles and shotguns and things of like. And there are multiple gun stores throughout Westchester in the state of New York that you could purchase these rifles from. I would go. You say, I want A, and they would show me it, and I say, okay, how much? They tell me, and I say, all right. And they would go do the paperwork, and I would go, answer these several questions as my background check requires, and they would send my background to the FBI for a check. This is a 30-minute process. So in the state of New York, which is a hard place to get a gun, which has a lot of gun control, it takes me 30 minutes to get my background check done by the FBI from even a place like Dick's Sporting Goods. Now, other states have not only 3 days, but 10 days, and then on top of that, 20 days. This is a process that can be done in 30 minutes in a gun-restrictive state, and now we just gave them 20 days.
Right. That's Cologne Noir's point, is that they're just giving them more days so that they could not do it in more days, and then they can then quote the statistics. The FBI hasn't. There's been a loophole. The FBI hasn't been able to complete the background checks in so many days. We need to extend it now to 80. We need to extend it to 120. We need to extend it to 360. 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years.
And you have to pay every year.
You have to repeal the Second Amendment because there's a loophole and the FBI can't get background checks done and people are getting shot. It'll never end.
People are going to listen to this and go, yeah, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, they will. And I'm sorry to say, in an end of the world scenario, those will be the first people to bite the dust.
Yeah.
That's it.
We will have I'm sure gun control is going to be in the media a lot in the coming days.
Biden got big plans for us.
Yeah, and it's too juicy for him not to hit. So we will have a gun control talk. Maybe we'll get experts. This is something near and dear to us, so we'll be going all out on that. But anyway, anything else?
That's it.
Oh, why don't
there you go.
Them?
Yes. Still got the PlayStation 5 raffle going on for anybody who's still here, still watching. It is $55 to enter. Use our link tree for all the details, linktree.com/2dunemen. On top of, obviously, if you win, you get a PlayStation 5 digital edition. Silvio's restaurant in Yonkers, New York, has offered the winner a $100 gift card to go eat there.
Yep.
And every single contestant, if we hit the 30 entries required, will also get a $50 gift card to Pete's Saloon in Elmsford, New York.
Yep. You're
So,
basically making your money back.
for $55, you're gonna get basically a 1 out of 30 chance to win a PlayStation, get $100 to eat at a restaurant, and another $50 to eat at another restaurant. You're getting an insane value for $55.
And you could get $5 knocked off your initial fee if you follow us at 2domen_podcast on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube page at 2domen.
Yes. Again, we need 30 people to enter. We don't have that amount yet. This will end on March 31st, the end of this month. If we don't get it, we'll send everybody back the money who entered. I do want to thank everybody who did enter so far. Appreciate it.
And on top of it, one major thing that we were forgetting, part of the proceeds are going to the Barstool Small Business Fund. And we really want to donate to that. So help us out. I'm sure people, if you're listening this long into it, pretty sure you want to help out small business too. It's probably something that's on your radar.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the ultimate goal here. To help the Barstool
It's the last
Fund.
thing we said. But anyway, all right, Doom Nation, thank you guys for tuning in for another week. We're super excited with the news from 990 WBOB. That's going to be awesome. Thank you guys. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Plug the next episode. What are we doing? We're doing. Well, it might not be the next episode, but later down the road, we have a big episode coming up. That's going to be a lot of fun.
We are excited to be working with 990 WBOB. We are, though, however, getting fatigued with the insanity that is the political atmosphere. So we had a popular episode when we first started called the Popcast. And our buddy Big Mark was on our Christmas special showing off some pops. So we need to get away from politics for just a moment. There might be another episode coming out before the Pop Podcast, but soon we are going to have Big Mark and the Fantasy Nerd from his own YouTube channel come on, and we're going to do another Pop Podcast. It's going to be a little lighthearted. It's not going to be as crazy and heart-wrenching as these past couple ones have been.
Yes, like we said before, we're going to need Advil after this episode. So we need to do something. We need to have some fun here.
Yeah.
Instead of whining and complaining.
We were supposed to have fun tonight, and that fell apart. So
here we are.
All right, Doom Nation, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at 2DoomMen. Everywhere else that Trump has banned is at 2DoomMen. Oh, wait.
Follow us on Gab. It's not anti-Semitic as far as I've seen.
Yep. Check out our link tree for everywhere else. Thank you, guys. Adios.
Later.